fan on. I didn't even look and see what it looked like. Okay. Hi. I'm Nancy. I am the voice and the hands behind Astrology and Angel Mediums. And I wanted to do a video, but I won't lie, I feel a little bit uncomfortable with this, so give me some time. Let me do something about this, and then maybe I'll feel a little bit less chaos goblin and a little bit more how I would like to appear on here. All right, give me a moment. Oh. It's not even ready. It's not even ready. I don't even know what we're doing here. We're still fixing. Okay, I don't think that's gonna work. It's probably gonna be crooked. Nope. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, I'm trying here. It's gonna keep moving. It's a phone. I guess I could sit here and hold it. Okay. Hi, I am Nancy, the voice and the hands behind Astrology and Angel Mediums. I wanted to kind of challenge myself to do a video where you guys can see me. And I wanted to kind of do like a little funny whatever, just because this is not comfortable for me at all, but there's a lot of different things that I would like to explore and talk about on my channel, and a lot of this stuff would just be a little bit easier if I kind of get over my own, like, sorry, my ears are going to be so red, my own hesitation and embarrassment over being, you know, so to speak, perceived on here. That's going to get on my nerves. Let's see if I can. Give me one second. Let me try to figure out another solution for this, because I don't even have like a tripod or anything to hold my phone up on. And so it just keeps like sliding off of my thing. So hold on. Hello. Okay. All right. I don't know how people get on here and do this all of the time. Okay. So, hi. I am Nancy. I think I've said that like 50 times at this point now. So, today I wanted to talk about something that I'm not even sure where I will like put this video, like once I get the courage to even like edit it all together and put it like where I would like for it to go, I guess, or maybe I'll make a new playlist. I wanted to talk about something, and I had kind of alluded to it in like a couple of other videos I've like posted, where I think as someone who is intuitive and someone who is, you know, empathetic, energetically sensitive, highly sensitive, whatever you want to call it, someone that maybe is like a little bit attuned to things, it can be really challenging whenever, you know, you have to, I don't want to say you have to deal with, because then that makes it sound like it's like a negative thing, or we'll say whenever you experience someone that maybe doesn't really understand your intentions and what that can kind of do to someone that maybe is a little bit sensitive, or someone who is a little bit like not super comfortable with relationships and human being stuff, if that makes sense. I know for me, I can be very like sensitive to rejection, and I think that's been an issue with a lot of the things that I have done, is that I tend to kind of hold back a little bit because of that. It's one of the reasons why I've been very hesitant to kind of like post myself publicly on YouTube and to kind of share myself and, you know, things like that. I don't want to be, I don't want like how I look or how I am to be reasons why someone feels like they have to kind of comment on certain things, if that makes sense. I don't even know if this makes sense. I don't know if I'm explaining myself in a way that makes sense. Mercury's in Pisces, so here we go. All the confusion. So a few months ago, I had someone that had been like a long time client of mine reach out and kind of like break up with me, I guess, if you want to call it that, or kind of end our working relationship, all of our relationship, I guess. And I was so taken aback and like upset by the message, what she stated, what she said, how she felt, the misreading of my intentions, the misunderstanding of who I am and how I speak, and like my speech patterns and stuff like that. So it was very eye-opening, I guess, in a lot of ways. And maybe my lack of response is probably not the most adult way of dealing with things, but at the time I was just kind of like, I don't even know what to say to this. Like, I knew that if I lashed out of like that high emotion, that it was going to be something not beneficial for either of us. And now that I'm a little bit older, a little bit wiser, a little bit grayer, I have learned that my initial reaction isn't always going to be the most suitable reaction for a situation. And thankfully, because of like text messages, emails, things like this, it gives us an opportunity to not have to respond immediately all of the time. I know certain relationships will kind of require that or whatever, but I think that's also something that kind of plays into some of the situations and the relationships that we kind of build with others, is that we are easily exposed to so many more people than we typically would in, back in like the 1700s or the 1600s or whatever. Most people just knew the people where they lived. You had to do a lot of your interactions face to face, things of that nature. It wasn't something that was like so easy for us to kind of hide behind a screen or a keyboard, or have a text message and things of that nature. Or like, I see a lot of people using like Chat GPT to kind of help them with like hard conversations or, things like that. So as someone that has always valued a lot of like communication, open communication, truthful, honest communication, I felt like I couldn't respond in the way that I felt the person would have received it, because I feel like at that point, when someone kind of says their piece, I think that they're just kind of done, and I am not someone that will ever beg someone to choose me in any sort of situation or relationship. I've outgrown that. There's very few relationships where I've been like that anyways, and none of them have been clients, and they definitely have not been romantic partnerships. So do what you will with that information. What I will say is, I thought I was kind of like okay with it. I was just like, whatever. Because now it's like several months have gone by, I'm like, there's no need to even like try to respond at this point, right? And then I just started kind of thinking about it a little bit more. And as I've been, doing some like shadow work and kind of focusing on like my own personal practices, things that like I value, things that like are significant to me, how I want to show up in my practice, how I want to show up in... Are you kidding me? All right, my light died. I'm sorry. I tried to find another little lamp. I have like no plugs over here. We're gonna keep going. Of course, it was like once I got a little bit comfortable, because this whole experience wants to be super uncomfortable for me. Actually, hold on. All right, let's hope that looks a little bit better. I don't even know. Hopefully this looks okay. I'm already kind of past that at this point. I don't even know what the hell I was talking about. that threw me off. I was like yapping, and then it was like bloop. Okay. I think I was talking about just like rejection and what that does. I think in a practice, and I think that's why I wanted to kind of like talk about it, because when I received those messages, and then when I like didn't really respond, and then I felt bad about not responding, and then I had kind of like a whole like existential crisis about it, if that makes sense, because it's like never my intention to be a person that causes any kind of harm or, you know, makes somebody feel uncomfortable or as though I'm trying to do something like that would not be of benefit for them. I was like, at the beginning of 2026, I was like, I'm just gonna like delete everything having to do with astrology and angel mediums. I started all of this stuff really a long time ago now, 2012, and it's been a long time. I mean, I'm coming up on 14 years of doing this, and the last couple of years have just been extremely challenging. There's been a lot of different things that have happened, like with scammers, with, you know, just kind of not saying, and I'm not going to be one of those people that's like, there's an oversaturation. It's not that. I think it's more of the like pop culture versions of these things that have made it a little bit more challenging for people like me in the space. Not because I'm like resistant to changes and growth. I mean, I can be a little bit. I am a Taurus, but I think the biggest thing is that there's been this like, I don't know, something about how tarot readers, psychic readers are expected to kind of be very performative has never really sat well with me. And if you follow me on any other platform or whatever, you'll know, like, I've been very resistant to being like, I'm not parceling myself off to accommodate people or to make other people feel comfortable or whatever the hell. And I haven't sold myself out. I haven't like done brand deals. I haven't done anything like that. I did do one brand deal. I will say that. Hold on. I did do one brand deal with Sony Pictures. Not, and it was, okay, it was for like a movie, and that's it. Like, I didn't, I mean, because I get a lot of offers to do all kinds of different things, but again, I don't want to work on anyone else's like expectations of what they think I should be doing with my practice, because I'm not doing this just for aesthetics. Like, this is this is literally something I have had be a part of my life for the last like 30 years. This is something that really is significant to me as an individual and my belief system and so many different elements and aspects of my life. It's not just aesthetics for online. And to be quite honest, I mean, I'm a little bit older, so there's that hesitation too. I'm not like, I'm not a wee tot anymore. I, you know, have had a life that sometimes has been challenging, that has sometimes been hard and sometimes very uncomfortable. And so those are all things that have kind of played into my experiences as someone that does this kind of work. And so being a little bit sensitive to being rejected kind of made me be like, you know what, forget it. I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. It's costing me money at this point, you know, to keep my website up and the fees and all of that other stuff. So I was at this point where I was like, okay, once things run out this year with my website or whatever, I was like, I'm just going to like close everything down. I may just like delete my Instagram account. God, my ear is so red. Sorry. It's like bothering me. But, you know, now it's just kind of like, because I've lost thousands and thousands of followers on there. At one point I was close to either 194K or 196K or something like that. Almost 200,000 followers on there at one point. It's not that now. I don't really post on there either because I'm just not feeling it. I've had some people be so expectant of me to just like perform for them. And I used to do it. I used to just kind of post whatever I thought other people wanted me to do. I would, just constantly try to do what I could to remain relevant in those spaces. And after like 2020 and everything that has happened since then, and I've had, a very significant death happen with my best friend passing away back in 2021, that like really altered me as an individual and how I practice and what I'm practicing and how I'm wanting to practice and how I'm showing up and a lot of different things. It really altered my experience as a person. And I don't know, I think all of that like kind of has been kind of ruminating in my head since I received that message. And I wanted to kind of talk about like what it feels like to have like that sensitivity to rejection. And I think for a lot of people, it can even kind of go back to like a witch wound of, never being able to feel like you can really truly be yourself and to really show up as like the ways you want to show up. I applaud those that are like so confident and so just like know themselves and fully themselves and do not struggle at all in showing up as who they are. It's taken me years and years to feel confident enough to even like show my face on like my business and my pages and things like that. But I got to the point where I was like, the work that I do is me. Yes, I do the readings and yes, I do, the posts and this and that, whatever. But a lot of it was me and I can't really separate the two, and I think, getting maybe, I don't want to say a bad review, but maybe it was kind of in a lot of ways a bad review on like my work, even though like the person was also still validating and saying like that what I had stated was what was going on, and they had gone to other people and they had also like confirmed exactly or even said exactly the same things I had said. I don't know about that. I will say that it has really created like this, I don't know, like disconnect from like wanting to continue to do this sort of work. So it's been hard to kind of like push myself to show up on YouTube and to do readings and to do this and to do that. Cause like I'll get like 5 views and that's fine. That's 5 more people than I'm talking to on a daily basis, believe me. But at this point it's something that I have like really been thinking about, and I'm kind of sad, I guess, like to even think of like ending things, because it's interesting because it's like as soon as I was like, oh, I should like stop stuff, I don't really get orders, I don't really have people like looking at my stuff, and now it's like shit's blowing up. I don't understand. I don't fucking get it, universe. I've kind of just been sitting with myself and kind of saying like, do I want to continue things in this manner? Because I'm not sure if how things have been is how I want to keep things, if that makes sense. I will say that it is a little bit daunting to kind of think of like ending things because I've been doing it for so long that, it's just been kind of something that happens. I haven't really had to think twice about stuff or had to think about it too much. And so I don't really know where this fucking video is going, girl. This is why I don't usually post videos of like me just yapping at the camera, because then I just like keep yapping. And if you've ever followed me on like TikTok or whatever, or even Instagram, you've probably seen me on videos or lives or whatever. I was doing those at one point in time. But again, I was getting a little bit like overwhelmed with the idea of being like perceived and like, I don't know. So I don't don't know. I think a lot of that does go back to like that witch wound and the rejection sensitivity, is the sense of, I don't know if I'm like afraid to be myself out loud, because I already am in my daily life and with my family and with people that know me. It's more of maybe I don't want to have to perform me being myself for others, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense. That's kind of how I'm feeling about it right now. So, head scratcher, I guess. I will say that it is very hard and uncomfortable to be in front of the camera and to be in a position that I feel is a little bit vulnerable or like expository. Like, it is kind of putting myself out there. And I'm not saying I don't have like a tough skin or I can't deal with like negative comments or things of that nature. I'm working on not being so defensive whenever someone does come at me in a way that I'm kind of like, what are you doing? Like, what's going on? Why are you here? But I will say that I have kind of had this like realization that maybe one of my own kind of personal witch wounds is having to do with like being visible and being perceived and kind of putting myself out there in a way that is extremely uncomfortable for me. So I'm trying to kind of deal with this by just kind of doing it. And I, like everyone else has said with like anything, it's like the more you do it, the easier it becomes, the more comfortable you get at it, the more it feels like normal. So we're trying, okay? We're trying. Anyways, this video is all over the place. I'm gonna get off of here because I'm tired and I would just want to relax. So thank you for being here. If you've watched this and if you can make sense out of whatever the heck I'm rambling on here, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. I hope you enjoy the stuff that I post. And I really hope that the stuff that I share is helpful and beneficial on your own personal journey. I want to say just thank you for being here. I hope you make good choices. Have a good one. Bye.